Right now we are working on a bunch of small projects, little miscellaneous. Well, they're not really miscellaneous. Some pretty big projects. Everything that we need to do before we insulate. We've got spray. We've got.
Sorry about that, babe.
That's okay, hon. We've got spray foam insulation being delivered Monday.
I know you're trying to talk to everybody.
I am. And you're interrupting me.
Ah.
But that's okay. Anyway, we have spray foam insulation. We have spray. You're doing it on purpose now. Spray foam. What?
You caught me.
I caught you.
Schooling around, won't you school around with me? Schooling around, come and find what we see. Schooling around, even when the times get tough. Schooling around, we still haven't had enough. Cause we're schooling around, won't you school around with me? Schooling around, come and find what we see. Schooling around, even when the times get tough. Schooling around, we still haven't had enough.
Spray foam insulation is being delivered Monday, so we're clearly not ready for it yet, but we'll have it when we are. So we've got all this framing to do. We got window tint on the way. We have water inlet box, locking box on the way. Oh, it should be delivered today. And these are just some things that we have to get installed before we can do the spray foam insulation.
There's a lot of stuff. I mean,
There's a lot of stuff.
Trim on the walls and stuff to get those boxed in on the side.
So Keith is also planning on, when he does his frames out his walls, he will be attaching to the side of these posts up here. And in order to do that, he's got to install that wall before we insulate. But there's a problem. Because like this wall here for our closets, we also need to spray foam insulate the wheel wells. The wall is a part of that. And we have to have this covered in order to build the wall. But we have to have it uncovered in order to get foam insulation. So yeah. Quite a quandary, but we did realize that, Keith is going to be spraying the wheel wells and the walls first, and then give him a few minutes to quickly put the wall in. But you can't close that off while that's still curing.
I'm not closing anything off, really. That?
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm not filling it up. I'm only going to put an inch on that,
So, yeah.
So, but no, really though, we can let it cure because the ceiling isn't getting done until the second tank.
The second tank. That's right. Because we bought
We've bought two sets. Yeah.
Two kits.
Two kits. So the first kit will do the wheel wells and the side walls and possibly even maybe the front and back. You never know. And then the second kit, will take over from where the first doesn't,
That will give us
spray
a chance
after. Yeah, that'll give us a chance to attach our walls, our bathroom walls. I want nice sturdy. This is going to be the main brace for everything. Nice sturdy walls so that everything can attach to it, inside and out. The shower, sink, toilet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you get.
Okay, so we're going to do some tinting of the windows. Disclaimer, I'm not a professional. I've never tinted before in my life. So if you could take this as a lesson of what not to do, we're here to help.
First window completed. Tinted. Not tinted. Tinted. Not tinted. This is, according to the box, 16%, which I've never seen before. I always thought it's 15, 20, but as you can see, this is Charcoal Deluxe 16%. And from up here, you can tell the difference between the two tinted windows. Oh, it's gonna look so good.
So we're tinting the windows on the bus. We've got quite a few done, but we thought we'd show you what we've been doing to get it done. Every window is different on the bus. Upper and lower are different, or different heights, okay? And depending on how the rubber was put into them and stuff, you're gonna get off a 1/16, 1/8 of an inch. So you're not able to just cut a whole bunch from a template. It's not possible. So you have to do each window individually. So what I've done is you gotta minimize the trim that you have to do once the film is on the window. Now, in order to do that, we have to cut out of our sheet of film. I put down my box of film and it's braced up against this board, which is clamped down. So I squared off some measurements so that when I pull out from the roll, I can just put down to the measurement, so I don't have to pick up my tape measure every time. Get a good measurement so that I have the minimal amount of trim on the window as possible, because the more trim you have, the more hangs down on you and folds and creases. It just makes it more difficult. So as little trim as possible. Our windows are like 24.5 wide by 13 inches tall and like 12.5 inches tall, something like that. So give or take 1/8 of an inch depending on the rubber, the seal, and all that stuff. So what I do is I cut my 25 inch because I want to cover both windows. I want to be able to cover both windows, so I'm going to cut my 25 inch. I'm 24.5 inches wide, so very little trim on each side. Okay. Now I'm going to square this up. Need a little bit more.
And these are just the rough cuts, so precision is not necessary.
Not exactly. I just want, like I said, as little trim as possible. So keeping it as square as possible. You know, nothing's going to be perfect. If you see some of my windows, you'll see that they're not perfect. I've never tinted a window before in my life before I did this, and I messed up the first couple. Didn't know. I was looking too much for perfection, but you can't do that. If you do that, you're going to be here forever. As it is already, we're only doing like 10 a day, 10 windows a day out of 53 windows to do.
Well, this being a window,
Right.
this being...
My film stretched out, and now I need my trusty knife. Okay. And now I'll cut my 25-inch wide. Okay. Now, the backing on this one is on the outside of the roll. So I try to keep it on that as much as possible. So in case there's lint or scratches or whatever, it's gonna rub against that and not the tint itself. Okay, now that I have my 25 inches wide, now we gotta cut my
We're doing a top window.
a top window. So that would be a bigger window. So that's from that line to this line.
That aside for the next window.
For the next window. Now what I have is my 25 by 13 and a half rectangle piece of tint.
So normally when Keith is doing the cutting of the film, I will be over cleaning the next window that we're getting ready to do. So let's show you how that's done. First of all, using just plain water, and this is Johnson's kid shampoo, has less chemicals in it, so it won't leave much residue. So you wet it down generously, and then I take a razor blade, stainless steel, make sure it's clean, and I usually start with the edges first, and I work the edges, being careful not to scrape the glass, and I just try to get any and all little parts, pieces. Occasionally, we haven't heard any yet. Oh, we'll start hearing little things. Hear that? Maybe just go over that area one or two more times, just to make sure you got the particle off of the window. Okay, all edges are done. Now you just can do broad sweeping. This window's pretty good actually, but it is imperative that you have a clean window. Normally you'd use a lint-free rag, not a paper towel, but we don't have any. So what I do is normally right after the razor, ooh, nice and squeaky clean, I go ahead and use the paper towel to just make sure I'm getting off all the little dirt. See, there's dirt there. Dirt. I don't want that on my window. So this is the first preliminary rinse. And then you do it again. I normally do just a quick little razor again, just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Especially if there was a spot that had a bunch on it. Okay, that's good. And then I grab my little squeegee and I go again, start at the edges, push it all towards the middle. Oops, see, got little particles of paint and such. That's the last thing you want coming down while you're trying to stick on a piece of tint. That will ruin your day. I just try to get the window as spotless as I can. See, there's a little particle in that one. All right, beautiful. And then we will spray it down one more time just before he adds the tint on. Okay, now we're getting ready to size the tint to the window. Liberally spray water down onto the window. Liberally spray water on both sides of the tint.
Okay, now that she's got the window all cleaned and we have everything soaked down, this is for the sizing. This is, like I said, it's just a little bit oversized so that I can get a proper cut. Okay. And squeeze some of that water out that we put on there so it'll stick. This is not permanent, this is just temporary so that I can cut it to size. There we go, we have it on there. Everything's nice and snug. I have a plastic ruler that I'm using. It's nice and sturdy so that for my straight edges. I'm pretty lousy at cutting straight lines, I guess. That's how I messed up my first couple. You got to get rid of this little piece of rubber.
We
right
call it a
there.
titty.
Get rid of that piece of rubber right there. It's going to cause you problems when you go to lay the tint down up there. Okay. Put it snugly up there. You don't want to cut into your rubber. You make slices into your rubber, then you have a whole bunch of pieces of rubber on the back side of your tint. So take it easy. Get a nice straight edge. So I'll leave the corners alone and then come back later and trim them separate. All right, now that I have this one side was the flat edge of that original roll, so I just laid it flat right down on here, and it lays good. Now I got these three sides cut. Okay, so after I made my little trim cut, I want to put my finger down in that corner nice and tight so that the tint does not lift up right there as I peel away the trim. There. Now, I left no light. Probably have a little more I have to trim with the knife, but see this, you can see it, the same thing here. You can see where the corner is. Just play it right up in there. Peel that off.
Always pulling up and away.
Up and away. Make sure your finger's up there in that corner. There. See, I left a little extra. That's okay, because I can cut that off with a knife. Okay. Got up to this corner. Again, the finger nice and tight up in the corner. Peel up and away. And the last one. Now remember, you're not in a race. You have to have patience because you don't want to keep replacing these. I learned my lesson after the first couple. You know, take your time and do it right. You'll be here forever. Okay.
And that's okay, because he's going to cut that away later.
All right.
Well, right now, I guess.
Actually, yeah. So I have my corner. Make sure you're careful not to fold. You lift it up off the glass a little bit and just kind of bend it over, and then you can get your corners cut. stays right up in there. Do that on all four corners. This is the piece that I'm going to be using. That's the piece that I'm going to be using to tint the window. So it's all cut to size now. Now I have to get myself a couple pieces of tape, basically to keep my fingers off of the backside of the tint, because I found out that if you hold it after you peel the adhesive off, you get fingerprints on it and then they don't stick very well. These have a couple purposes, something for me to hold on to after the adhesive is peeled off. I put this on here. This is going to help me hold on to it and separate the adhesive back from the tint. And then this one here is just basically there, just a, so I have something to hold on to. Okay.
So now that we have a finished film that we are ready to install, it's time to clean the window again. He has done some cutting, which has added little paint flakes, little pieces of rubber, little things that he cut while trimming. So all of these, if you left them there, they're just going to end up being bubbles. All you can do is try your best. Just remember, not everything's perfect. Yeah. Got a bunch of stuff off of there. Way down. Start with the edges. Bring, oh, see, look at that. That was hiding. Oh, there's another one. Oh, still getting some black paint. And this is the one you absolutely don't want to rush, because this is just before the final product goes on. You really don't get a second chance. Now that that's done, we peel.
Okay, so here's the piece that we had with the tape.
I grab the side. It has the two pieces of tape on it. Wait, and it just peels off. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Very careful, it doesn't fold up on itself. Alright, and again, spray the window down. And then spray the tint down. Both sides.
Okay. Alright, now that we got everything pretty saturated, it's time to place the tint. And we're going to try to do that without touching anything else. Okay. I'll get these pieces of tape off. Be careful you don't rip your tint while doing it. Okay. Now the reason we soak it all down, why do we get it all wet and then just rub all the water off? Well, we get it wet on both sides. This seals it out. It helps get the air out much better. Water squeezes out much better than air. Okay, so you get, the more water you have, the easier it is to squeeze out. And the water on the back side is so that whatever tool I'm using glides across it easily. If it was dry, it would catch on it and just pull it right back off again. So being nice and lubricated with the soapy water, everything glides easily. The water squeezes out, no air bubbles at all in here. Before it sets, we have to make sure that it's along the edges the way we want to. So as of right now, it's still slidable a little bit. Okay, so you just want to press a little bit and it'll close up that gap for you right there. Okay. Be careful you don't push too hard or it'll just buckle up on you and then it'll create that air bubble along the edge. But this is looking really good. See, I might have a little bit of trimming to do down on the bottom corners. Doesn't seem to be laying down very well. Okay. Okay. Yep. A little bit of trimming is needed down there. So I have a harder one, a harder edge that I can use. Make sure you're still lubricated.
Lubricated?
This thing here will definitely peel your stuff back up. Doesn't hurt to use water. Okay. I'm right up on the edge, and now I can recut. Got a little piece off. There's that strip of plastic that I cut off. Very small, and that's what it can do. It cause you to buckle up, causes air bubble along the edge, and then it'll just get worse and worse from there. But I got rid of that. Be careful you don't peel up the tint while you're straightening this out. Okay, and then this corner. Looks like I got a little bit to trim. Okay, now you have it all down. There it is. You can see a few imperfections here and there, but you can't fix them all.
There you go, got him.
In this one sitting. You gotta let it look good. Get it so it looks good and walk away.
Now, in the many professional tinting videos that we have watched, they've said don't necessarily be concerned about some of these lumpy bumpies. They just have water behind them, and as the window dries and cures with the film on it, that stuff will just go away and it will right itself. So that's according to the professionals. We are not professionals. We are just showing you what has worked best for us. Disclaimer, we're not professionals. So feel free to use whatever information that might be helpful to you, and have fun tinting. Okay, so why did we choose what window we did and when we did them? It really wasn't much. We just decided, since we had to practice first, because we've never done it before, that we would start with windows that are going to be completely hidden by walls. We're going to basically black them out, and we won't be able to see them. So if we did any mess ups, we wouldn't be able to see them inside, and hopefully you wouldn't be able to see them from outside either. So that's why we started with these windows. And then from there, we didn't want to do a window like directly beneath the one we just did, because, you know, we were worried about getting wet and messing up something that we've already done, although bottom one wouldn't affect the top one, but maybe overspray. We were just being extra cautious. So we started spacing them out, doing like lower ones, and do an upper one over here, and a lower one, and then came over here and did some. Just tried to space them out so that we weren't getting the next window wet. And then we decided last night that it would be really nice to see a whole section done. So today we decided that we could do the top section first and then come back and do the bottom section, because that wouldn't affect the top at all. We had already done a couple over here. I think we had done this one and this one and that one. And so we came in today and we took care of that one and that one, and doing, what was it? That one did not affect that one, so we're okay. And then we're gonna do this one, and then we're gonna do the rest of the top ones, and then the bottom ones, just to be safe. So that's why we chose the windows, which windows to start with, the pattern in which we're doing them, and all of that. Yeah, no real rhyme or reason. Has a little bit of thought behind it. And now we're just anxious to see a whole section done. So we're gonna do this biggest section that has 7 windows in it, or 14 if you count top and bottom like we've been. So, but yeah, 7 windows, 7 full windows. And that's what we use to make our decisions on where to start with what windows. Happy tinting! The tinting is done. It looks magnificent. Look at that. Look at that. Every window. Keith is finishing up the last steps of the last window right now. Look at it. Look at it! Now, by all means, are they not perfect? Ideally, if we were to do it again, like say bus number 3, when we do bus number 3, we will probably take all of the windows out and then like literally dismantle the windows, get down to just glass, clean them, and then reinstall. Because let's see if I can show you. It's hard to see. Okay. There's some goopity gook, little tiny particles. It's hard to see because my windows aren't clean either. But let's see. Tiny particles. Aha, perfect. In the corners in a lot of them. And I don't care how meticulous and how many times I clean the window, I could not get those to go away every single time. So the only way to do that is to, take out all the rubber gaskets, get down to plain window, tint them, and then put them back together. If you want absolutely perfect windows, that's the way to do it. So definitely have to, get the windows clean, but you're really not supposed to wash the tint for a couple of weeks. Give it a chance to cure. There you go. All of our tinting is done, and we are quite proud of it. Lessons learned. Gorgeous outcome. Celebrate the wins, people. Celebrate the wins. running today?